Hey guys, it's Dr. Roach. So I have a different video tonight. This is about changing your last name. I've been researching it for probably 6 or 8 months now, what to do with my last name. So it's a lot, and we're going to dive into it. So hopefully this video is helpful for anybody looking to change your name, but especially if you are a physician and you're wondering what you should do. So one issue that I saw come up in a lot of things I read is the issue of when you change your name. So, for example, I've been here at Silva for 2 years. Once we get married, it'll be a little bit over 2 years. And now I've built this rapport. So everybody knows me as Dr. Roach, one of the pediatricians. The Carilion physicians, they know me and my name. The ER doctors know me as my name. Where I've worked previously, they know me as my name. In medical school, they know you as your name. The few papers that I've published is under my maiden name. So those things can't change. So you can't go back and submit a paper. They do say on your CV to actually just add, if you end up changing your name, put Roach like in parentheses for the CV to say that that's actually how you were published and that was your name at the time, and saying if you changed your last name or anything, especially if it changed to a whole different name. If it's hyphenated, most people can get that, but most people don't understand. If you change the whole name, it's like, I don't know why they act like it's so foreign in medicine. The second thing is you've now built this rapport. Even the patients in the community are looking to go see Dr. Roach. So then if I change my name to Dr. Gerald, on that note, I'm going to take a sip of water. I haven't actually talked that much, but I guess I did just get out of class. That's why I'm a little yawning. But if they were to now see Dr. Gerald, they're going to be like, well, who is that? Who's that? Like, I don't want to see that patient. I don't want to see Dr. Roach. And it's the same person, but it takes a lot for the community and your patients, once you've kind of built your panel, to know that your name changed. So that becomes kind of one of the challenging things for women, especially women in medicine. So one thing I didn't say, but men can actually change their name as well. So when they get married, you could actually change it, and he could become Mr. Roach. We're not going to pick that one, but that's actually another thing. The fifth option that I didn't talk about, because I only talk about women changing their name, but men can actually change their name as well. Of course, you know, that's not loved by a lot of men, but that's actually an option as well. So first, I'm going to go over the 4 different options there are when changing your name. So first, you can keep your maiden name. So actually, in most countries, minus the United States, most women actually keep their maiden name, and they actually don't have the same name as the family. So in America, it's kind of a mix of everything, but actually in most countries, they don't change their name. So it's actually something different that I saw in a lot of forums, that people, when they moved to America, they just couldn't believe so many people changed their name because that's not how you were born. So that's the first option. You can keep your maiden name. The second option is you can hyphenate your name. So you can do, so my name is Dr. Roach, and then I can hyphenate and be Dr. Roach-Gerald. And so you can hyphenate your last name. The third option is you can do 2 last names. So I could become Roach-Gerald with the space. I would tell you this gets very confusing, especially in medicine, because the medical records don't always pick up that you have 2 last names. It thinks it's either middle name or it just drops one. And then it becomes weird. Is it going to pick you up as Roach-Gerald with the R, or is it going to pick you up as Gerald? And it gets very, very confusing in medicine. So sometimes having those 2 last names gets a little bit weird, because every system can't necessarily pick up that there's 2 last names. Because most systems just say first name, middle name, and last name, not a space last name. And the fourth thing is you can take your maiden name and you can make your last name. So Roach will become my middle name, and I become Sierra Roach-Gerald. So those are the 4 different options that you have. And so I'm going to kind of talk about them, pros and cons of all of them. And then we're going to, at the end, I'll tell you what I actually have decided. So he doesn't even know, so he's going to learn as he's at the end of this video what I actually decided. I think he has a big clue on what I'm going to decide, but he will at least get to hear it. So as physicians, all doctors must practice as your name. So if, say, I decide to hyphenate my name and become Roach-Gerald, but I wanted my name outside of medicine to be Gerald, you actually cannot have two different names. You have to practice as the name that you have on your birth certificate or your marriage license. You have to practice as that name. So you have to pick. So we're gonna go in about 2 months, and we'll go sign up for the marriage license. And so you have to pick then. There are only a few times that you can change it. Your name, usually like when somebody's born, you can change it. When you get married, you get divorced. Those are the kind of big things that you can actually change your name. Otherwise, it's like an act of Congress. So those are kind of the biggest things, but you have to practice as you're gonna have your regular name. So with name changes, most people think about, you have to go to Social Security first, change your name, and then you change your driver's license, then you change all the other little things in life that you start changing, like your passport and all the little things. But in medicine, it's a whole nother degree. And even as a military veteran, it's a whole nother degree. So I have to go changing all military records. And a lot of times you have to go back and change and say that you were the person that took that step 1, step 2, step 3. And now you have a new name, but you are still the same person. So you have to go back and change that name on all of those like degrees and certificates and all that stuff. And if you think about that, that can be very, very costly. I've not calculated, but it's probably like $1,000, $2,000 just to change your name on everything. Like step 1, step 2, step 3, they really only matter if you are like in medical school or in residency and you don't have like your degree, or I should say your practicing license, then you have to change those a lot more. Otherwise, most people don't go back and like change all those degrees because who's going to pay to just change the name on the paper unless it comes up. But your medical license, like you have to change, and like basically some of them are free where you can just go and put a name change and it's not a cost. A lot of them are like $15, $30, but some can be very costly and you have to get the new license set. And so some of them I probably wouldn't change until it's time to renew. So like my North Carolina license, I probably won't change until February for my birthday because I'm not going to pay a fee twice. But then it's only a 1-year thing. So you have to kind of think about that and what you're going to do. So a lot of people don't change their name because of that. But I have like 3 different. I have the regular, civilian life. I have the military life that's changed. Then I also have the medical life. So it's a lot of name changes that have to actually occur. And so one of the articles I looked up is Dr. Shebel. She's actually been studying names over the last 25 years and what people do. And so 7% of women had a different last name as their husbands in 2004, which was up from 2% in 1984. And then there was another 1% that hyphenated their maiden name with their husband's last name. And so a lot of her research says a lot of different things. So some women are very passionate, like, hey, I got my medical degree under this name and this is what I'm going to keep. Some people are like, this is the last name of this that we have in our family. I'm going to keep it. So there's a lot of reasons that people keep their last name. I can't lie. If you asked me 10 years ago in medical school, I said I was not going to become a Dr. Roach. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm going to get married before then. Clearly, 10 years later, not married. And now, like, it's kind of like grown on me, and it's kind of what I use when I'm telling people. So even kids, I'm like, oh, I'm Dr. Roach, just like the bug you step on. And it helps them to remember, but it also helps people that, when I'm calling for a referral, hey, it's Dr. Roach, just like the bug. And so that part of it, like, I love. And then people, like, you don't hear that last name often. And so I can always kind of ring with it. So that part, I actually can't believe that I changed over the last 10 years, but I definitely have changed the views. And then they did a study in 2017. It was only 75 women, and it was published in Harvard, but it found that in 2015, when they did this study, that 65% of the single women intended to keep their maiden last name. And 63% of the married women had already kept their maiden name while they were in training. So that's definitely a lot higher than it was 20, 30, 50 years ago. And so it's so interesting to see how it's kind of changed. Sometimes if you're married to a physician, which I'm not, you have to consider that part. So like, hey, we're going to have 2 Dr. Roaches, so do you want the pediatrician or do you want the GI doctor? And so some people won't change their last name because, you know, it becomes confusing on which one to send stuff to and stuff like that. And so some people have already changed their last name and they become, you know, the bird surgeon and the bird pulmonologist or whoever. And so you have different ones, and everybody has kind of what they want to do. So there's so many different options out there to choose from. And so one option I haven't talked about is what some people do is they will take their spouse's name legally, but keep their given name professionally. This depends on your state. And so most states say that the physician has to practice under that. And some people will do that kind of dual last name I was talking about. And they'll just put the second last name and they're socially and the first last name and they're on the medical side. And that way they can keep both. And so it really just depends on your state and what your state requires. So that's one thing. And some people just go by it socially. So some people never change their last name and they just go by Dr. Gerald socially, and then Dr. Roach at the clinic. So it really just kind of depends. But there are so many different options. You do have to change so many different things, like I talked about, your passport, your driver's license, the post office, every professional agency, your DEA license, your utility bills, your medical license, insurers, brokerage. So the list goes on and on and on and on. And so there's a lot of people that don't ever change it because it's very overwhelming and very costly once you decide to make all those changes. So out of all the different options, everything I've researched, I'm about 98% sure that I'm going to end up keeping this Dr. Roach-Gerald. And I'm going to hyphenate it. That way, I'll still have those connections. I'll have to rebuild the rapport and all that stuff that I develop. And then my patients will still know me. It'll be hyphenated. And then I can sign it really either way. And so my patients, probably the biggest questions they're going to start asking me in November is, what do I want to be called? I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. So I'm your doctor. So you can call me Dr. Roach, Dr. Roach-Gerald, Dr. Gerald. They all flow. But that way I kind of have both. My kids, of course, are going to have the last name Gerald, and I'm going to drop the Roach, but I'm probably going to keep both just so it kind of helps professionally so that I don't necessarily lose the past that I've already created and everything. So that's kind of my final decision. So hopefully this video helps somebody out there. I've definitely did a lot of research on it. It has taken me, it is almost July, so it's taken me literally like 7 or 8 months because we got engaged in October to actually decide this. And so we'll go in about a month and a half, 2 months and get the marriage license, but I'm pretty sure that's the name I'm going to pick. I think he would wish it would be Dr. Gerald because it would just become that, but I don't think I want to let go of the Roach part of it. So I'm going to keep both of them and just hyphenate it and kind of go from there. But I think that would be his pick. This video, he's supposed to actually be interviewed and talked about that part, but he's sleeping right now. And so maybe I'll add it at the end when he doesn't actually know which one I chose. But hopefully this video was helpful for somebody. And so look forward to my next topic. So we just finished getting our marriage license. Exciting. I guess this will be the last edit of the video because some reason it didn't save or whatever. I'm having to hold it to get this view. But how are you feeling, babe?
Feeling great. I'm excited for the big day now. Just another step getting closer to our joint union.
So in the end of the last video, I was kind of asking him his opinion of what me changing my name and stuff like that. Well, now he already knows. Even though the video isn't going to end exactly like I had it intended. But I'm definitely going to hyphenate my name now. And so, but the kids will have his last name. It'll be fully Gerald. But with the professional side, it's like I've kind of built my brand, and I don't want to lose that part because people are always going to still be looking for Roach. And then I can introduce myself as Dr. Roach, Dr. Gerald, Dr. Roach-Gerald, you know, any of the three, because they're all still a part of me. So hopefully this was a helpful video for somebody. It really was a quick appointment. It was like 15 minutes. We went down to Caswell County because we're getting married in North Carolina. So it was a lot of different, it was a lot of different ways we could have did it. But Virginia, you had to be ordained to sign in Virginia. So it was a lot of research that I did. And I ended up, we're literally like Yanceyville is like 7 miles.
Something like that, yeah.
From our house. So we just drove down here for the first like 8:30 appointment. And you have 60 days, so it's September 14th. So we have more than enough time. And so that's pretty much how we ended the process. And we just did it in Yanceyville, and then they can mail it to their office for it to be official as long as they do it within 10 days. So that is perfect. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon.